Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, it's no fun when the rabbit has got the gun. Is this karma for the way the Dominican Republic has treated Haitians? This came with a link that's going to take us back to X again. On X, this is from Breakthrough News. It says, U.S. ICE agents are arresting and deporting Dominican citizens from Puerto Rico as part of Trump's ordered deportation wave. Due to the island's colonial status, Puerto Ricans have no sovereignty over immigration policy in their homeland. This came with a short video. Let's check it out.
Esto está feo. Está feo porque honestamente hablo por mi comunidad dominicana. Nosotros somos los que ponemos el pecho todos los días aquí. Ustedes saben, nos levantamos a las 5 de la mañana a trabajar, como es el caso de mi esposo. Esto está feo. Está feo porque honestamente hablo por mi comunidad dominicana. Nosotros somos los que ponemos el pecho todos los días aquí. Ustedes saben, nos levantamos a las 5 de la mañana a trabajar, como es el caso de mi esposo.
Porque aquí nosotros, los inmigrantes, somos los que tenemos el país parado.
No, porque supuestamente aquí en Puerto Rico eso no iba a estar, iba a estar sin efecto de esa redada de recoger a los indocumentados. No entiendo nada.
Los arrestos de inmigrantes indocumentados también llegan a Puerto Rico, donde ICE llevó a cabo un operativo en el llamado Barrio Obrero.
No, ellos llegaron y se bajaron de la guagua y muchos están ahí sentados y ellos tienen que proceder con una ley que Trump aprobó. Pero yo creo que lo que están haciendo es ilegal, porque hasta que tienen documentos poniéndole esposa.
Ese señor ha trabajado aquí toda una vida, ese señor tiene más de 30 años aquí, ¿entiendes?
Para mí eso es un atropello y es ilegal. Ellos no son delincuentes, no han matado a nadie, no han hecho nada, solo están ahí compartiendo.
Estoy desesperada, no sé a quién preguntarle, no sé dónde ir, no sé qué hacer. Si fuera un delincuente, yo te digo, yo misma dijera, sí, qué bueno que lo arrestaron, pero es una persona sumamente trabajadora.
Una gente trabajadora creo que no debe de merecerse que se lo lleven preso.
I'm going to play that one more time because I know the banner was blocking for a second. Short video, so just hang in there. One more time.
Esto está feo. Está feo porque honestamente hablo por mi comunidad dominicana. Nosotros somos los que ponemos el pecho todos los días aquí. Ustedes saben, nos levantamos a las 5 de la mañana a trabajar, como es el caso de mi esposo.
Porque aquí nosotros, los inmigrantes, somos los que tenemos el país parado.
No, porque supuestamente aquí en Puerto Rico eso no iba a estar, iba a estar sin efecto de esa redada de recoger a los indocumentados. No entiendo nada.
Los arrestos de inmigrantes indocumentados también llegan a Puerto Rico, donde ICE llevó a cabo un operativo en el llamado Barrio Obrero.
No, ellos llegaron y se bajaron de la guagua y muchos están ahí sentados y ellos tienen que proceder con una ley que Trump aprobó. Pero yo creo que lo que están haciendo es ilegal, porque hasta que tienen documentos poniéndole esposa.
Ese señor ha trabajado aquí toda una vida, ese señor tiene más de 30 años aquí, ¿entiendes?
Para mí eso es un atropello y es ilegal, porque ellos no son delincuentes, no han matado a nadie, no han hecho nada, solo están ahí compartiendo.
Estoy desesperada, no sé a quién preguntarle, no sé dónde ir, no sé qué hacer. Si fuera un delincuente, yo te digo, yo misma dijera, sí, qué bueno que lo arrestaron, pero es una persona sumamente trabajadora.
Una gente trabajadora creo que no debe de merecerse que se lo lleven preso.
All right. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, it's no fun when the rabbit has the gun. Is this karma for the way the Dominican Republic has treated Haitians? I want to mix it up a bit here. Let me start with Bakari on this one. Bakari, what's it?
They were going kind of fast, and I don't speak Spanish. They were complaining about being deported, I say, and I haven't read that song. But I can say this, what I say is karma. I don't know, maybe you can. But I would say it's karma. Why we always waiting on somebody else to exact revenge?
I'll go, because I understood 100%, so.
Oh, wait a minute. Y'all can't hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me finish. Then I'm going to let you go.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said you weren't. Okay, my bad.
No, it might have been a lag. But what I'm going to say is we shouldn't have to wait on nobody to exact revenge on us. What means exact revenge for us? Some things we have to do. Maybe it is karma. Maybe it's not. But the karma should come from black people handling that. That's my opinion on that.
Appreciate that. Let me hear from War Drum next. War Drum, what's it?
Yeah, it's been a long time, that they've been treating Haitians bad. You know, the Dominicans by them being like on the same island, and you know, yes, it's karma, I guess you could call it. But I mean, I don't understand why most of the Dominicans try to say that they're not black when they look black. You know, some of them do anyway. But you know, I mean, if you treat people bad, things come back on you, man. You know, I don't think I think like Bakari said, we shouldn't wait for karma, but I also believe we we don't have any political ground to hold over here. I mean, like if you look at the Isle of Hispaniola, like us Black Americans, we can go to the Dominican, but we can't do anything there. Like if we had to leave from America, the Dominicans wouldn't want us in there. We would have to go to Haiti. So that's why, I don't feel any remorse for getting put out of Puerto Rico, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really have much to say about it. I think it's like karma, though.
I appreciate that, War Drum. Jose, what say you? Jose, unmute your mic if you're
Yes,
speaking.
yes. I was typing on another tab. Um, you know, um, um, we suffer. We all suffer. We are all traumatized by Mafa, and Dominicans make me think of my people, and we are on the African continent, right? An archipelago on the coast of West Africa, right? But yeah, geographically, we are Africans, and we have this same bullshit. I'm not African. I'm Micronesian. I'm not African. I'm mixed. No, we are a new race, right? And how does that sound? That sounds like, yeah, exactly, FBA. So I just, watching the video, it came to me like, wait a minute, these are FBAs. And when they say me no black, what they mean is what they see. We are, a lot of us, not we all, but a lot of us look to us through blue eyes, right? So FBA look in the mirror through blue eyes. These guys look in the mirror through blue eyes. Cape Verdeans look in the mirror through blue eyes. They see something that they don't like, of course, by the image that our enemy has created of us. So when they say me no black, it's see look at them as a Cape Verdean saying I'm not African, or an FBA saying I'm not African. So yes, I agree. Um, uh, uh, I believe it's tit for tat, or whatever. You got what you asked for, or you see. We can fall into those kind of reactions and those kind of sentiments, like yeah, 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 yeah. But to be honest, a Cape Verdean denying his Africanness, a Dominican denying his Africanness, FBA denying his Africanness, the difference are nuances. Maybe the Dominicans, we've all seen those videos of them lynching Haitians, and they are deporting at this moment. They are deporting Haitians, and I even saw an African American tourist, a dark skinned sister, that was almost deported to Haiti. Yeah, some of us are more advanced in the fuckery, but it is the same fuckery. It's the mental disease that we inherit from Mafa, the chaos that we have been thrown into, and that is still attacking us till this day. But yeah, deportation. Yeah, there you go. You voted for. You voted against your own interest by sentiments created in their media, and whoever they is. I don't see no difference between fake Jews and the traditional colonizer. So yeah, that's what I have to say about it.
Appreciate that, Jose. In the chat, Cheryl says, if you don't understand why Dominicans refuse to call themselves black, you don't understand the history of the island. And she says, to Jose's point, it's more like FBA sounds like them. They existed before FBA, bro. With that said, let me hear from Buana. Buana, what's it?
Yeah, I think that what I think Trump has the right. Trump has the right to deport criminals from serving prison sentences in American prisons of people who are not citizens of the country. He has the right to deport them. It happens all the time, right? But it's an interesting thing what he says. See, there's something called the Mariel Boat Lift. The Mariel Boat Lift, I think it happened in the 80s when Fidel Castro basically emptied the prisons of Cuba and put them put those people on the boats along with people who wanted to come to America to live the dream. And it created chaos in South Florida. Mass chaos. It's worse than almost like a foreign person invading another person's country and territory. If you say that, oh, these people come over here and these people are criminals, terrorists, rapists, they call them rapists, call them terrorists, he call them even unalivers. And then you send these people off to the countries, some of which, let me say this and be very clear, because it's bigger than just Dominica and Haiti. It's bigger than that. Because some of these people grew up in America, that they don't know nothing about the countries or their parents' origin. Their parents left and their parents went to America, and some of them don't even know they came to America very young. They don't know the so-called country of where they come from. They have no ties to the country. And in these countries, unfortunately, it's who you know that gives you access. What are these people gonna do out of desperation? You are creating huge problems in other countries and trying to clean your society up. Some of these people turn arch criminals. They are American arch criminals. They understand American fashion and style of criminality. They know nothing about these so-called third world countries and how they work. Okay? So the governments in these countries are aware of what Trump is trying to do. And you know what they say? I hear the Jamaicans talking on their radio station. They say, listen, if you send these people back to this country, we have basically a bullseye on their jacket. Because they're about to cause no bigger issues than the problems we already done have. And especially if they are accused of committed crimes in the countries in which they're coming from. These people are Americans. They don't know nothing about these so-called countries. Culturally, they are Americans. So the people in these so-called third world countries are not going to allow you to further marshal their country. So they can put a bullseye on you. They can put a bullseye on, they can get rid of you. And some of these people are married to American citizens. Some of these people have property and assets in America. I wonder what happens to the assets that these people would have acquired, these acquired within America. Does it just revert back to the government, or the government is just going to seize their property? That's interesting. That's a whole other dynamic. But when you send them back to the so-called third world, what happens to these people? You're putting a bullseye on their back. Because I'm going to tell you, these governments are not going to allow you to just flush the toilets of America and just send off your issues and problems that's created in America onto these countries. They already have problems for themselves. So, some of these people are attached to many people. You're creating greater problems for your family members if you send them to these so-called third world countries. I'm going to tell you. And some people don't care about that. No problem. But if he decides to flush the toilets of America, of its worst people, and you don't even know who these people are. Some of these people, you don't know what their criminal record are, their jackets. When you deport them, are you going to give them an accounting of the things and acts they would have committed in the countries that they're coming from, because countries have a right to know who is coming in. They want to know who's coming in. If I have an arch mass murderer who you're about to set free on the streets of a population, shouldn't we have a right to know that? Because I would like to put a red dot on his head. I would like to put a bullseye on him. I want to know who's coming in. So, I mean, like I say, he could do that if he wants to. But I think that countries have to be aware of who is about to be in their population, regardless of the fact of where they was born. Where you born is the accident of birth. This is the reality. You have no choice in the matter where you're born. Your mother could have just as well as pick up and gone to another country and have you there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can't fight over, oh, are we American? Because you had no control over where you was born. But the reality is, if you deport these people and trying to create havoc on other countries, the only thing that's going to happen is these countries are going to end up taking care of American people, culturally, or for whatever you want to say. They don't have the papers, but they are culturally Americans. These countries are going to get rid of them. I'm going to tell you, bro, because the third world has its own issues that they're already dealing with. But I wish them, like, what's the brother say? Ditto say, I wish them good luck with that. I wish them good luck. Good luck. I'm done, Koku.
Appreciate that, Buana. I know Kofi is chomping at the bit. Kofi, what say you to what you've heard so far?
Well, you're kind of wrong on this one. Everyone said pretty much a mouthful. It just is what it is. Papi, I know black, I Dominican. I know black. But the unique thing about this is that there is a rift between Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. Past airline I worked for, office environment, it's a friendly, how should I put it? It's a friendly battle they have against each other. We could be talking about work or something like that, and they'll say something in Spanish that is like, it's not me, I'm Dominican, it's the Puerto Ricans, it's Boricua. And everyone starts laughing. So there is a rift between them. And I think that rift is basically there on both sides. Their deniability of them being African. I know I'm going a little bit off topic here. I mean, it's pretty much what War Drum says. You get it's karma, but I don't think it's a direct. I mean, you can have some Haitians like, oh wow, looking at this like, oh, how does it feel right now? You know what I'm saying? So I understand that, but there is a rift between Puerto Ricans and Dominicans to the point where I actually got into it with one of my subordinates, right? About her being like saying she's not black. She's saying it was St. Patrick's Day. And around St. Patrick's Day, niggas is just Irish. No, I'm really a Miles. I'm really a McLean. I'm really a McDonald. I'm really a McDuffie. I'm really Irish. And you have a Puerto Rican person doing it too. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fun. That's I'm saying you're not really You're not really Irish though. Yes, I am. I'm like, excuse me? Mind you, I know who she is. Like my other guy that I used to work with, her, my ex-manager, we're managers, and he said, hey, I want my niece to work for you and whatever. I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine, it's cool. So I know who she is because I know who her uncle is. This chick fought me tooth and nail, red in the face, saying that she is freaking Irish. When 6 hours out of an 8-hour workday, she is speaking Spanish. She's not eating haggis. She's not drinking Guinness. She's not saying, let's go down to the pub for a little pint. She's not doing that. So they, like Jose says something that's very, very good. They look at themselves through blue eyes and they don't like what they see. So I do understand this hatred that they have. The Dominican store, not too far from my house, I know he's Dominican. I see him speak Spanish all the time. He's like my complexion. One time I saw he had an ankh around his neck. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I approached him like, what do they say when you have that? Every time I see him, he wears that ankh. And he goes into that store speaking Spanish. And I asked him, do they know what that is? He said, I'm trying to teach them. A lot of them don't feel that they're African. I know that. Why you think I dress the way I dress and I present myself the way I present myself, even though I'm speaking Spanish to them? So I mean, it's. I don't want to say like good for you or whatever, but I hope this is a lesson to them knowing that you're not special. Just like Dominicans are the first MBAs. You're not special. Just because they give you a pat on the head like Byron Donald, like good boy, you're still nothing but a tool. You'll never be one of them. And I'll just end it there.
Appreciate that, Kofi. Next up, let me hear from Oni. Oni, what are your thoughts?
So I wrote down some stuff. So first off, I want to just address what Buana was saying about, oh my gosh, you put in a bullseye on these people if you send them back. We got to remember Trump is a billionaire, and he's worried about international policies.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He no billionaire.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. But what I would say is, most white people don't care about the lives of brown or black or even white people. And I think we have to like not approach this from like a humanist perspective of, oh man, you're gonna ruin somebody's life. People of that wealth echelon, whether it's billion, whether it's million, I don't know, but people of that wealth echelon don't really have a track record for caring about the little guy or caring about who died, where, and when. Um, and I think that's what we have to get rid of. Now, I don't remember. I mean, I remember some dialogue about Black History Month not being around, and I guess that was updated. But what's interesting is the justification. I mean, the passage that Trump, or the memo Trump printed regarding Black History Month. He says American heroes such as Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Thomas Sowell, Justice Clarence Thomas, and countless others represent what is best in America and her citizens. And you want to highlight Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas, right? Mostly because these people are telling you, well, yeah, we don't mind some black people, but the black people they're talking about is Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas, right? The other, things I want to just quickly go over is, uh, I used to have let's say a mentor called Alton Maddox. You guys might know of him, and he would tell us, "Hey, Dred, when was Dred?" He would ask us, "When was Dred Scott outlawed?" Pretty much, right? And it's not even so much, if you say to yourself, "Well, Dred Scott was overturned," and so on and so forth. If you feel like that's the case, you really have to also ask yourself, why did Supreme Court justices agree with the ruling for Dred Scott? And for those who don't know what the ruling for Dred Scott was, it was basically that no black person has rights that white people are bound to respect. So when we talk about, the rights that black people have in the country and blah, 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 you have to remember that, Dred Scott is still on the books. Or even if you don't think Dred Scott is in the book, right? There were Supreme Court justices who did. The masters of the law of the country who were of the opinion that black people do not have rights that white people are bound to respect. And as far as, oh yeah, well, they're just trying to deport criminals. The two categories that you want to remember, or even the three categories now that I think about it, but the three categories that you want to remember is, one, Malcolm X's grandson was arrested on charges of jaywalking. Okay, so they arrested Malcolm X's grandson for jaywalking. You continue. There are political prisoners in America right now from the civil rights era who have been in prison for over 50 years now. Mumia is a popular example, but the reality is that there's a lot of that it's almost a disgrace how much we've forgotten a lot of the quote unquote freedom fighters, or a lot of the quote the civil rights activists who fought for the rights that a lot of us enjoy right now, right? and they've been locked away for 50, 60 years, right? And then of course there was the this whole, what I'm talking about just kind of reminded me of uh, what they call the black identity extremists, right? Which basically was a like a new designation for quote unquote criminals. I don't remember if it was Trump's administration that made it. I don't remember, but the whole thing with that is that you don't when other people write your laws, you become a criminal. Okay, when other people write your laws, you can become a criminal for anything. Like I said, Malcolm X is jaywalking is a crime, but it's never enforced. It's never enforced unless you happen to be a quote unquote black identity extremist. Um, that's pretty much all I want to say. But as far as sorry, the other thing was that I don't think anybody believes that all black people are going to get deported. Um, I don't think that is that's a logistics thing that Trump is trying to coordinate. Um, However, we have to recognize that countries do deport undesirables when they feel like it. And a lot of black people are undesirable. Now, you might say, oh, well, they would, but what about the prison industrial complex? What about them? And that's the thing. We have to remember that there was a time where black people were segregated and limited to Jim Crow settings and limited to apartheid and limited to so on and so forth. And that white people have, if it's financially beneficial, there are white people who are approaching government who can put that into effect. And so you might be able to stay in the country, some of us, right? You might be able to stay in the country, but you're talking about a very diminished condition. Um, but just to answer the question as regards to the Dominican problem, and whether this is karma for what they do for Haiti, again, karma is not a real thing. Um, um, I've I think that everybody and their mother knew that the Latin American community was going to be targeted by Trump in particular. Everybody and their mother knew that, so it's not like this is some sort of surprise. This is just the results of an election from people who thought that elections didn't have results, and I'll leave it at that.
Appreciate that, Oni. Cheryl says, "Nigga, what?" Not sure why. But I wanted to leave this panelist for later because they're from a Spanish speaking background. So this is why I haven't called on you yet. I want to hear your thoughts on this, being a Spanish speaking person.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
First, good move. Thank you for leaving me for last. I appreciate that and appreciate the consideration. Okay, so several points. One, the issues of Dominican and Haitian realities. You need to understand the history of both countries, the relation of both countries, and the 200 some odd years of history between each of those countries. Just to mention some facts, the massacre of Parsley, or La Masacre de Perejil, back in 37. Prior to that, it was the whole process of Haitians becoming independent, Haitians then moving towards Dominica. Dominica had been independent from Spain, but then were under control of Haitians. That the whole mess. So to say that this is karma of Dominicans and the conflict of versus Haitians in that sense, it's also a bit ahistorical and a lack of nuance. To that same point, look, in this type of conversations, we have to get rid of terms like third world country, or even coming into this type of conversation, global south or the West ideas. The problem here is that, and Kofi can back me up on this one, but yesterday I said it in this discussion we were having about FBAs. I told the panel that the biggest problem is U.S. defaultism. The world doesn't fucking revolve around the United States, and United States doesn't have a fucking culture. What it has is cultures with a plural, and understanding that the world doesn't revolve around the United States. Neither does it revolve around its blackness or its Asianness or its Eurocentric perspective, or even on its language. Then we can start having a more honest and sincere conversation about the realities and the impact of and yeah, more focus. If Africans have a better understanding of what's happening in Congo with the M23, and the whole situation with the alliance of Rwanda, we let the Africans speak on that matter, in the same sense of Latin Americans who know of our history in both a regional or a concise national aspect, or in a more in both the regional or in a more broader sense. But here's the problem, and let's be realistic. If we continue enabling a US centric, a US defaultism, a US supremacy perspective on this type of conversations, we're never gonna get away from the mistakes, from the erroneous categorizations. In very simple and short terms, US political analysis is like their imperial measuring system, outdated and a complete and utter joke. There's rarely, very rarely, when I find people of US citizenship, of any of these so-called races up there, that actually have a more uh, a more fine-tuned and well-balanced geopolitical as well as political analysis of reality. The majority are just big mouth charlatans who are a joke from any walk of life and any sense of minimal political awareness. So in this sense, what I'm imploring, and what I've continuously implored in this sense, is that to make the effort of understanding why using such blatant and stereotypical terms like third world or global south or the west is continuously falling into that. Just like uh, the errors that we see emanating from US centric perspectives of what is blackness or what is to be American. Because American is not just the United States, and we've been over this for so many times. I, born in Costa Rica, I am as an American as somebody born in Alabama, or somebody born in Haiti, or somebody born in Curacao or Guyana. So the point being here is that this type of conversation of what's happening today, and this example of how the imperial forces of the United States and the colonial forces of the United States control something in Puerto Rico, of migrants of going over there, it shows to us that it ain't about karma. It ain't about paying the price of that historical baggage of the fucked up decisions that had happened between two uh, two countries, two independent countries, and the decisions of the people that massacred and shed a lot of blood. It's about restitution and reparation, and at the same time being able to, as people, understand the good, the bad, and the ugly of freedom. That's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, I understood 100% the video. La cosa se pone fea. Sí, la cosa se pone fea, mijita.
I appreciate that, Did. So yeah, I want to get your perspective. You're the second to last person because the last person is the person who brings the prompt. So, Black Steel, you've heard everything everyone had to say. What say you?
So, first of all, I would say this. The Dominicans have treated the Haitians horribly, especially those Haitians who come over across the border. Um, and it's a long term thing. So, my girlfriend is Dominican, right? And she identifies as a black woman. She says she's black. She's not one of those Dominicans, but she.
Dang, I mean, he ain't get a Dominicano, man. Is it all age?
So she told me growing up, her father would tell her to stay away from those Haitians, right? They're dirty, they smell bad, right? And I think that part of the issue is that the way race is conceptualized in Latin America is very different because race is very much a social construct. So, depending on your society, somebody who is considered to be dark skinned in America, because America, it's very black and white. You're black, you got a black grandparent, you're black. If you got at least one Negro in your bloodline, you black. Whereas in many cases in Latin America, it's not that clear cut. Um, and there's also a lot of social stratification within their society. But the desire for whiteness is very strong. They call it mejor la raza, improve the race. I know we've all seen that picture. Maybe some of y'all haven't. The redemption of Ham. It was a black woman who had a half black child, and her daughter was marrying a white man, and the grandchild came out, light bright. She was raising her hands to God because to free them from the curse of Ham, from the biblical Ham or whatever the fuck. I don't believe in that stuff, but walk with me here. They've treated them very bad. They treated them very poorly. They've looked down upon Haitian people. Um, and I feel that now that these Dominicans are being deported from a country where they worked hard in, they built a life in, right? Now they're being deported from Puerto Rico. To me, I don't understand. Maybe karma may have been a bad word. Maybe I should have used the word ironic. There's an irony to be found in this, that those of you who persecuted African people, who were yourselves African people, but in denial, now you're on the same receiving end of the bullcrap that you've been subjecting other African people to. Except they won't chop, except maybe for their sake, they're not going to chop you up with machetes the way the Dominicans did the Haitians under Trujillo, right? So maybe karma was a bad word, but I do sense there's an irony in this. And even though you yourself may not identify as black or whatever, understand that the Americans, the United States, the Western system, they don't make distinctions. And I've often said this with black people coming from Latin America, from Caribbean, from the continent. They're not gonna say, well, you know what? We're not only gonna beat him up a little bit because he's he's from Jamaica, right? Any black people can get it. Now there's a special, and it was something that Oni said in the previous prompt, that black Americans tend to get a little bit more of that brunt. Because I remember going in some place, with my girlfriend, and there were some Spanish people. The service wasn't the best, but then she started speaking Spanish, all right? And then all of a sudden they lit up. They realized, oh, she's black, but she's not one of those blacks. So she must be okay.
Facts.
Right?
My wife's a Panamanian. They do the same thing.
They do
They'll-
the same thing, bro.
They do the same thing. They'll talk trash, say something, then my wife starts speaking in Spanish. And you start speaking Spanish, and they be like, oh. Then, okay, senor, okay, I'm so sorry. They
Yeah,
start speaking like, wow.
yeah. They just, it's almost like, they I don't know. But I'm just kind of, gonna try to land the plane a little bit though. It's more of an ironic situation that these people are now being deported from Puerto Rico, which it is in itself a colony of the United States. Puerto Rico is very much a colonized area, but they're losing their livelihood, their homes, and the life they built up at the same time they're doing it to the Haitian people, right? I would hope maybe there'd be a time for some introspection, but the way that white supremacy is built up and the way the white, like you say, see themselves through blue eyes, I don't believe they're going to learn too much from this.
I appreciate that, Black Steel. I think you were done. Is there any last thoughts on this prompt before we move
Definitely.
on?
Definitely. I would like to answer one of the comments that was made in terms of black people globally do their best to avoid politics. I would like to answer that because that's a statement that I could answer. See, in the United States of America, they have something called the freedom of speech. And with the freedom of speech, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can make any statements without any serious repercussions happening to them. In fact, you could talk about the president, you could talk about politicians, you could talk about leaders, and no one will come to your door and threaten your life. No one will come to your door and even possibly jail you. Only if you say that it's my agenda to unalive the so-called president of the United States, well, the FBI knocks on your door. But in America, you could be as critical as you want to be in terms of the politics in your country. But if you was to just step outside of that country and the safety of that country, in other countries of the world, they don't have that right to speak as freely as you do in America. And if you make statements, or if you participate in certain kinds of politics within countries, it is deadly. Deadly. You not only have to risk, your life and limb, but there's a possibility that even your family could get jailed in some of the things that you say. So it's very safe sometimes for people to be critical within the safety of the borders of American society without understanding how global politics actually work. This is the reason why some black people outside of the borders of America don't like to participate in so-called politics. They do, but when they know that they do, they know that their life is threatened. They know that they could go to jail forever, and they know that they could possibly even die. This is the politics. This is the political game we play in so-called third world countries and African countries and other countries of the world. If you didn't know before, I just want to maybe just pull your coat on that because you may not be aware of that. But I'll leave it there, Coco.
If I may, just to quickly mention something, out of my 25 years of political work, there has been 2 attempts of my life. I'm alive because I knew how to wade my way through that. But those 2 times they tried to kill me in my own country were my own people. So, food for thought.
All right. If there's no last thoughts, let's go to Shoot the Breeze. Top it up. That was a real good conversation. I want to thank everyone who's joined the panel tonight. Let's try to keep it going like this. It was a huge panel. And thanks for all the comments from the chat. KW Don 7, Cheryl. Didn't see Trigger Happy tonight because he's busy. But thank you for all the comments.